What is up, guys? Welcome. Good morning, good evening, and good night. Happy Easter to those of you who celebrate Easter. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. Today is a holiday by me. I'm not sure if it's a holiday by you, but as you all know, I do not really celebrate holidays when there is work to be done. So, what we're going to be talking about today is, first and foremost, the importance of risk management. Right, as most of you or some of you may know, I got into an accident not this weekend, last weekend, and it just goes to show that sometimes, regardless of how many precautions you take, the risk can still be observed. The risk can be consumed. Sometimes, we realize that we are taking a trade and everything is in alignment with what you want to see. Everything, literally everything, one criteria after the next. And you want to take the trade. And you know something? You actually end up taking the trade and then it loses. Almost immediately it loses. So you ask yourself, you say, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? And you know something? Sometimes it just so happens that there was nothing that you did wrong. There was nothing that you could have done better. That's just the way that the world works. It's just the way that life works, right? There was nothing I could have done in that situation in which I got into this hit and run accident. There was nothing I could have done that would have resulted in me not being damaged in some way. It was either let the car hit me or run off the road and possibly flip. There's nothing I could have done. Regardless of how good of a driver I am, doesn't make a difference. Sometimes that's just the way the world works. And it's sad to think about it like that you're at the mercy of other drivers on the road and circumstances that happen to you, but that's just the way that it works. And it's the same thing as a trader. It'll be foolish to believe that you aren't at the mercy of the market. The market can do anything it wants, whenever it wants, wherever it wants, whyever it wants. All you have to do is make sure that your risk is as mitigated and as controlled as possible. What I did, I looked for the least risky option. I had to take the lash in the car because, like I said, it was either take the lash, take the hit, or run off the road and possibly flip. In that scenario, taking the hit was significantly safer. All right? That's just the way it goes. Now, as a trader, you're not just gonna know that sometimes your trade is gonna be stopped out and so because of that, you're not gonna trade anymore. No, that's quite stupid. Likewise, you're not gonna say, well, because you know now, or maybe you're now learning or now understanding that most times you're at the mercy of other drivers on the road. You're not going to say, well, because of that, I'm going to stop driving altogether. That's stupid. You have places to go, people to see, things to do, right? And so it's just about making sure that everything is in order with you and trying to control the things that you can control, like what you drive, how you drive, when you drive, where you drive. It's the same thing as a trader. It's interesting how many parallels we see. It's really, really interesting how many parallels can be drawn when trying to make a comparison between trading and driving. But it applies, and it applies in a manner that, excuse me, in a manner that is so uncanny, is so coincidental. It oftentimes feels like one was modeled after the other. Driving might have been modeled after trading, or trading might have been modeled after driving. But being a driver obviously requires some level of skill, some level of understanding of not only the road, but reading the play per se. All right. I was on the road last night and there was kind of like a family day kind of thing in a park. So obviously, there are cars parked in the park itself. There are cars parked on the road. And because of that, cars were blocking one side of the road. So it just so happened that obviously in order for me to pass, I need to drive on the opposite side of the road. Right. I'm not sure if this is a thing by you, but here in Trinidad, it's very much a thing. Now, that being said, in order for me to pass, I need to pass in a manner that is allowing me to move so quickly that that I don't obstruct people who are driving on their side of the road. It just so happens that there was a driver behind me who came and blocked, right behind me. He drove up right behind me, enabling other cars to pass, right? And you know what happened? We were in a gridlock for quite a few minutes, several minutes. All because he was in a rush and he refused and didn't understand that there was a play. You understand? He didn't understand that there was something that, you had to read the situation. It's not always about mashing the gas and going. It's not always about just trying to execute the trade. Sometimes it's better to stop and read the play. Try to understand what other drivers are doing. Try to understand what is happening in the road. Try to understand, is there something circumstantial that I can do to make this situation better for me and everyone around me? And as a trader, you must do the same thing. It's really interesting, eh? Because if that driver behind me had waited, you know something? Everybody would have passed. Everybody would have gotten their way and nobody would have been waiting. But this driver behind me is so anxious, so ready, so willing to mash that gas and come up and block the way that is exactly what he did. Now, as traders, we do this all the time. We get anxious. You know, we oftentimes want to execute right away. And we fail to remember, we fail to identify the fact that the market is not going to give us opportunities right when we want them. The market isn't going to give us opportunities when we say it should give us opportunities. The market is going to give us opportunities when it wants to do so. And it is up to you, and you owe it to the market and to yourself and to your account especially, to not only read the play, but not be so quick to act. Right? Let me show you an example. So one of my students called out CADJPY possible buys. They said that CADJPY crossed. And let me see if that student is in here. Let me see. Yes, he is. And he is correct, right? Bounce off of the trend line, bounce over the trend line again, cross of the moving averages. Yes, it's an overall bullish momentum. Currently, it looks also to be a little bullish, but it might be rejecting. Now, let me show you something here. A lot of traders would have possibly placed buys right here. And you know something? You wouldn't be incorrect, but you also would not be correct. You know why? Because what about this candle, right? Realistically, what about this particular candle here tells me that this is absolutely going to buy? Nothing particularly, because if you zoom in and you watch it, right? If you zoom in and you watch it, this particular candle has wicks to both up and down side. Nothing is wrong with the candle itself. The wicks is what we're looking at. Now, I want to give you all a tool here today that is going to help you read the play a little better, right? Listen, TradingView gives us these tools all the time. We just refuse to use them. So let's come right here in this section of TradingView. MT4 has this as well. You come right here, and instead of looking at candles, you can literally use line. Now, my brothers, my sisters, I want you to pay attention to something. Now, this is the line graph, right? Something I tell students all the time is we must pay attention, very, very close attention to both obvious and current momentum. Because obviously, in this case, we will be prioritizing a buy. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Should we be prioritizing a buy here? It makes sense. This is not a reversal. This is an obvious bullish momentum. Don't go against the momentum unless a reversal is clear. It's not a clear reversal, so it's to follow the momentum, which is buys. Right? Does that make sense to everybody? Yes or no? Yea or nay? Yea or nay? Come on, quickly. We all want to move on. Yes or no? Beautiful. So that being said, I want you to take a look at what we have on the chart right here, right now, and tell me, what about this move in particular? Right? What about this and this looks like bulls or buys to you? Does anything look like buys at all? Yes, granted, all here is bullish, but then you can see very big peaks. It's not an M pattern, but you can see very big peaks, alluding to the fact that it might not necessarily be bullish at this point. You know what's interesting about that? We disobey these signs all the time. All the time. And the market is telling us right now in these two areas right here, right, that it might not necessarily be bullish at this point. But you know something? You still want to buy it. What I tend to look for, and you all know this, what I tend to look for is rejections to the downside. So what I'm looking for, if I'm looking for buys, is a candle that looks something like this, right? Maybe I'll accept maybe something like that, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for any signs that the market is bearish if I'm looking for buys. I don't want that. Now, let's pay attention. You can see a big bull candle coming in here. That's good news, right? That's very good news. But I want to see big buy momentum coming in. and then that candle. So typically what I'm looking for in this scenario is just that, exactly that. We have this candle closing in what? 2 minutes. I want to see a big bull candle come up, right? Have rejection to the downside. That's good. And then theoretically, this is what I would like to see. Does that make sense to everybody? What do you all think? Because if you're looking at this structure here, just these two candles, what about this now tells us bears? Is anything about this tells us bears? No, it tells us that the market came up with this candle, right? It rejected the downside, it closed up here. Then it opened down here, it went down, rejected the downside, and then came back up and closed here. So this is not only our seller buy candle to buy, but it's also telling us rejection to the downside, which makes our case for buys that much stronger. Does that make sense? What do y'all think about that? That is what we are theoretically identifying. So in this case, I'm not too quick to enter because granted, yes, this is the selling candle that I would possibly buy, but you see the size of that wick to the top side, that's a little alarming. Now, depending on the surrounding structure, this might be viable. You know where this candle might be viable? If there was significantly more bullish momentum. So if I was seeing something like this, then I would see maybe something like this might be viable. But in a case like this, these types of candles are oftentimes very sketchy because you know what can happen after you see this kind of candle? You know what can happen? Because the big wick to the top side is actually scaring me a little bit, right? So good. So right off of the bat here, we can actually see that this candle here, this bull candle that just closed, I wouldn't consider that an engulfing of the previous candle, but it's actually giving me a pretty strong case for buys. It's bearish rejecting. In this case, if I were to see a red candle come down, let me show you. You see a red candle come down and do something like that. Oh my goodness, listen, that is buys in a big way, right? This is an even stronger case if it is this next candle closes bullish, right? And it does this, and then the very next candle does this. If the very next candle does something like that, that's a good sign as well, right? That's a very, very good sign. So I'm going to try to pay attention to CADJPY here over the next 15 minutes or so to see if we can catch it. And if we can, we will. If we can't, we won't. It's simple. But you'll realize how particular I am, how particular I get when I'm looking for my entry. Remember, the idea, folks, is if we can have an analysis for our direction, if we can have an analysis for what it is we are anticipating directional bias wise, why can't we have an analysis for our exact terms of entry as well? Does that make sense? Now, typically, I don't really take trades during New York, right? Which is the session we are mostly in right now. I don't typically take trades during New York. But if I'm seeing the setup that looks pretty good, it looks pretty healthy, I might consider, if I'm being honest. Now, looking at how this candle is here, isn't this what we were just speaking about? Isn't this exact candle what we were just speaking about? Look at it. There's big wick rejection to the downside. It's a resting candle. It's considered an inside bar. If it closes like this, exactly like this, let me tell you something. This is a very high potential for buys. Very, very high potential for buys because it's telling me that it's rejecting the downside. It's telling me that the buyers are coming back in with momentum. It's pretty safe, right? And obviously it's a sell candle. It's respecting the EMAs. All of that is what we are theoretically looking for. Now, am I saying that it's absolutely going to buy from this point onward? No, I'm not, because I don't know. I can't know. How can I know? Right? But I'm saying this builds a case now, and you realize how I am talking, how I'm thinking, the wavelength that I'm thinking along. I'm trying to build a case that is synonymous with my buy bias. Does that make sense? So now, if the candle closes like this, what this is telling me is the bears they still have some kind of C. If we're looking for buys, remember this whole idea is I don't want the bears to have any C. The bears cannot have power, because if the bears have power, this obviously makes it harder for my buy position to be safe. This is exactly what you want. You want to see the bears losing power because we're looking for buys. Now let's think about this in a real life scenario, right? I use this with students all the time, right? Now, if this close is black, obviously it's invalid. Red, it's fine. Black, invalid. Remember that. I am not interested in buying buy candles, right? But let's think about this in a real life scenario. Everybody here is an adult, right? I would assume so, right? And if you're not, this is a very valuable life lesson. In life, obviously, men and women, we seek out, partners to live out the rest of our lives with. And that's just the way that humans work. Most of us, we seek out a partner, right? A significant other. Whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, it doesn't matter. The whole idea is you seek out a partner to live out your life with. Now, let us assume that you seek out a partner and you're dating this person for a multitude of weeks. And everything is going really good, beautifully, the person loves you and everything. But then the cat comes out of the bag and it comes out that your partner is a serial killer or a serial rapist. Be honest with me, be honest with yourself. Would you keep dating that person? Would you keep dating that person? Be honest. If you found out the partner that you are with is a serial killer or a serial rapist, a serial larcenist or serial arsonist, would you keep dating them? No. You know why? Because essentially, now this person becomes a threat to not only everybody around you, but you as well. So why is it that we ignore the red flags? Why is it that we ignore the signs that are around us? Right? You know why? Y'all want to know why? Because the sex good. That is why. The sex good. We ignore all of the red flags and only study what is good. We say, well, it's a red candle, so that good enough. You want things to play out a certain way. There are many things in this industry, my friends, that you cannot control. But the things that you can control, you have to control. And where and when and why you enter are something that you can control. So in a case like this, like on the chart right now, you're seeing that the candle is possibly closing bullish. Right? We have 10 minutes till the candle closes, which at this point is not really giving me anything that I can use. So if this candle closes like this, I can assure you that I will not enter for any buy on this candle because this is something I can control. And one of my rules says I do not buy candles. The things that you can control, you have to control them. You have to. You just, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right? Now, remember I used the line graph just now. And you're probably thinking, well, B, it starts to look bullish now. It's clearly starting to look bullish. I absolutely agree. You are absolutely right about that. It is absolutely looking bullish. But again, what is interesting is the whole idea behind what we do, right? Most people get this wrong. It's not about the lowest entry, it's about the safest entry. Most traders, when they now start, you know what they're trying to buy? On the tip of this candle right here. Right? Or they're trying to buy it on the tip of this candle right here because they want the lowest possible entry. But you know what's the interesting thing about that? What about this point right here, right at this peak here, tells you that it's absolutely going to buy nothing. There's not enough confirmation. And because there's not enough confirmation, automatically you cannot take the trade because this is not something you have control over. Does that make sense? So at no point here, if you realize I'm not buying at the lowest point, I'm buying at the safest point because that is what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in buying at the lowest point. Low does not necessarily mean safe. High does not necessarily mean safe. Why do we want safe? What is it that we're looking for? What in terms of safety? What is it that in terms of we're looking for? What is it that we're trying to safeguard? The trade? Is it the trade we're trying to safeguard? What do y'all think it is we're trying to safeguard? Let me see if anybody on the ball this morning or today. What is it that we're trying to safeguard? Your account close, the mine, not there, not quite there yet. What is it that we're trying to safeguard? Our analysis? No. Nope. Come again. All of those things are correct, but there's something in particular we're trying to safeguard. Comfort? No. Come again. You all have it, I know you all know it. There's something in particular we are trying to safeguard. What is it? Nope. Nobody knows? The stop loss. The stop loss is what you're trying to safeguard. You're trying to make sure that that stop loss has the lowest possible chance of being hit. Right? Obviously, it's there to make sure that if it is hit, that it takes you out in a position that is not significantly disadvantageous to you and your account. But you're trying to still make sure that the trade is not going to hit your stop loss. That's the whole idea. My precision comes from that notion. So based on how this candle is operating here now, this candle is going to close in what? A little less than 7 minutes. If this candle closes like this, I can guarantee you that I am not interested in the buy, because nothing about this is telling me that the bears are losing power. I tell you, now based on how this candle forming, what I want to see, real talk, is this. That's what I want to see. Or at the very least, something like this. If I don't see that, I'm not interested in the buy. Anytime it closes like this, that's a problem, because this is a lot of bears. You can also see the wick to the top side telling us that bears coming back in with some power. I don't like that. That is the exact equivalent of dating somebody who you know to be a serial killer or serial rapist. You know that. Why are you ignoring the signs? Look at what's happening with the candle. Why are we ignoring this? But there are going to be people who are going to say, well, Brandon said to buy a sell candle and sell a buy candle. So they will buy that. That is not what I am telling you to do at all. This here is not a good case for buys. Based on how this, and that is another thing. That's why we obviously also wait for the candle to close. Because if you do not wait for the candle to close, this can happen while you enter. And you thinking, well, it's a good entry. And you know something? It's not. It's not, because it never closed how you wanted it to close. Remember, each candle on the 15-minute time frame, each candle is a session, a 15-minute session. Right? Let's go down on the 1-minute time frame to see what this looks like. Right? That's a good sign. This is a very good sign. Right? Because now this looks like bearish rejection. Let's go back on the 15-minute to see. That's a good sign. That's a very good sign. Right? So we're watching. The interesting thing is, what you are actually being paid to do now is literally sit and watch the candle and watch for the exact candle that you want. But when you think about it, this is why they call it patience. Anybody ever thought about that? Patience. You're paid in the tense form. Pay tense. Patience. That is the candle what I want. I see that? You see how that is right there? That is what I want. Not that. Not that. You see how it went up and the body was really tiny and it's red? You see that? That is what I'm interested in for the buy. If I do not see that, or doji per se, you can take it like this, but it's still sketchy. That is fine. That's good. That, What I am actually doing now, brothers and sisters, what I'm actually doing is psyching out the candle. You'll ever hear when traders say they trade price action. If they're not doing what I am doing now, they're not trading price action. They're trading higher highs and higher lows. They're trading support resistance. Price action is actually paying attention to the action of price. I'm paying attention to what price is doing. Why is it making the decisions that it's making? Why is it closing in the manner that it's closing? This is trading price action. Realize I don't care about the cross. I don't care about the trend line. I care about the candles. The cross happened already. The trend line happened already. All those things are auxiliary. As you all know, I can do this without the cross. I can do it without the trend line. I am looking now at actual price. And now I'm trying to pay attention to how this candle close is going to tell me if I have an entry in T-3 minutes. Let's go back down to the 5-minute to see. This is a bad sign. There's a wick to the top side. This is also not really a bad sign, but this black candle here with the wick to the top side is a little sketchy, right? But that is, I don't like that. That is something of a bad sign, a bad omen. I want price to be pushed up because that is what I want. I want my red flags to be dealt with. I don't want any red flags. You understand? If this candle could come up and engulf, that's a good sign as well. It's a very good sign, right? Not sure if it will, but we'll see. All right, this is bearish rejection, but this is bullish rejection. That, you see that? If this closes like that as an engulfing, that's a very good sign. Right, this is closing. There we go, engulfing. You realize that I'm able to psych out the candle before it closed, right? You realize that. Why? Why is it that I'm able to do that? Because I'm paying attention to how price is operating. That is what you're paid to do. You're paid in the tense form. You're paid to analyze all of this information, and you're only paid after you're able to analyze it. Right? So, coming back down 5 minutes. Now, I'm just using the 5 minutes to show you what you can do, but this is not something that you have to do. You can literally stay on the 15 minutes and you'll be fine. Right? You can literally stay on the 50 minutes and you'll be fine. Right? Now is a good time to open up your phones or your MT4 to just be at the ready, open CADJPY, just be at the ready to place your buy if it does come to that. I'm telling you now, this is a live trade that I might be considering to take with a 10 pip stop loss as per usual. This is not something I usually do in the New York session, as you all know. But again, nothing is wrong with this than trying to take advantage of an opportunity that is presenting itself. Now is a good time to possibly chance it. Right? So let's see. We have 1 minute till this candle closes. If it closes like this, obviously, okay, so that's fine. All right, so I am opening my MT4 now. There we go. That is proof. You see if it could close like that. If it could close like that right now, oh God, listen, let me tell you something. Right, black is a no-no. Red, we want red. We do not want black. Right, we do not want black. Right, T minus 20 seconds. If it closes black, you have to wait another 15 minutes. Everybody understand what I'm doing? Everybody understand my reasoning for making the decisions that I'm making? Y'all understand why I'm thinking along this wavelength? Why? Y'all understand, yeah? This candle is closing black. Oh, red, there we go. Enter. Possible buys on CADJPY. Let's go. Let's go, guys. There we go. It's already lifting off. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Y'all see the difference? Y'all realize this, right? This is how you trade, my friends. This is how you trade, my friends. You must acknowledge. You must acknowledge the power of understanding the way that candles close. And if you can do that, trust me, what I just actively did there, right, is a entry analysis. Now, by no means am I saying to you, because I did enter, by no means am I saying to you that this trade is not going to take us out. That's just the reality. But I want you to think about something here now. Logically, wasn't my risk managed? Wasn't my risk under control? I did everything in my power, right? Everything in my power to make sure that I have the best potential chance of survival in this trade. Yes or no? Yeah or nay? What do y'all think? I did everything in my power to make sure that we have the best potential chance of survival. So now it's just a matter of taking the trade and literally just letting it do what it has to do. And that is it. That's it. Work is done. The work is done. Just like that, this trade is almost up, give or take. It's floating right now at about just about 5 pips. Just about what? 4? Just about 4. We'll see. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe this trade is going to go 10 pips and then take you out. Or maybe this trade is going to go 500 pips. You don't know. The whole idea is making sure that when you do see the opportunity, when you do see the rules being met, you do see everything in alignment with what you want to find. You know something? You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your account to make sure that you take advantage of that opportunity. That is when you know you're trading. This class is not recorded, by the way. Right? So, my brothers, my sisters, I really hope that you enjoyed this session. Let's see how we can make the best of this week. This is an Easter week. Last week was Holy Week. This week can also be considered a Holy Week, but I digress. I really hope that you enjoy this week. My next session will be on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, unless I say otherwise. I really hope that you enjoyed this. Or you know what? I think I'll post this on YouTube. Right? I think I'll post this on YouTube. Right? I no longer post the recordings on the website or anything, but I think I'll post this on YouTube. I feel like everybody needs to see this, right? So that being said, if you want to see it again, maybe you can consider this. You can go check it out on YouTube maybe later today or something, right? But other than that, have a great day. Have a peaceful day. If you have any questions, because I'm posting it on YouTube, if you have any questions, you can always message me at EkataTrading on Telegram, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. You all know where to find me. And yeah, have a great day, guys. Peace out.